Man, what a ball game. That was a great game. It was one of the better games. That's kind of reminded me of Middle Tennessee when we went overtime and everything else. I mean, A-State's a heck of a basketball team. They played great. I thought we'd come back and played with a lot of heart that last 4 minutes. I thought our 3 seniors did a heck of a job.
Questions for the student athletes. Who's got the microphone?
Taylor, you were on the team 3 years ago as a freshman, that went to the tournament. Just kind of take me through what it was like when you dribbled out those last 8 seconds or so, and kind of realized that you were going back.
It's just such a surreal feeling. It's pretty cool to end your senior year like you ended your freshman year. So when I was dribbling the ball out, I was just so happy and just proud of my teammates. And I almost lost the ball. I was so excited.
Kenesha, you guys have kind of forged an identity as being, a really good defensive team, and you specifically. Is it kind of odd that you guys kind of got through this tournament, especially tonight, by what you guys did offensively?
Oh, not at all. Our defense carries over into our offense. Our defense sets the tone, so what we did defensively is no surprise to how we perform offensively throughout this tournament to us.
And Taylor, what about you? Talked for so long about for 4 years coaches tried to get you to play defense, and now
now I'm losing it,
right?
That's
yeah. Now you guys had to go out and win a game with offense. I bet this is probably the type of game you like to play, right?
Yeah, I have fun out there. The defense part, I'm glad I finally. Sorry, Coach Foley, I'm leaving, but I'm glad I finally learned. Just to show that I mature my game a little bit.
Was this game defensively kind of like the one you guys played in Little Rock? You probably gave up more baskets than you wanted to, but the turnovers, is that what made up for it, you think, Kenesha?
To be honest, I can't even really remember that game, barely, But defensively, I feel like we did a better job back home. Like you said, we gave up a lot more points this game, but overall, we pulled it out, which was the most important thing.
I'll say this too: when you don't have much time to prepare, it's hard to play a great defensive game. And so we just kept going over the things, and in that last 4 minutes, I thought we really played great defense that last 4 minutes.
Yeah. Kenesha, can you take me through those last 4 minutes? I think you forced 3 turnovers. I don't know about you personally, but you guys as a team, just kind of what was going on, kind of during that period, and kind of what were you guys thinking, just kind of really needing to lock down and everything?
One possession at a time, one stop at a time. We really weren't focusing on, we just knew what we had to get stops. That's what we think stops, and then our offense, took care of itself.
And for either you, just kind of take me through the first few minutes of the second half. You led at half by 5, and then they come out. I think they make their first 6 or something. They take the lead. Just kind of what were you guys talking about and trying to do just to kind of stop that kind of run and kind of regroup?
Taylor, you got it.
We had to regain our focus. Like you said, we came out a little flat, but stops. I'm a defensive-minded person, so I was just thinking about, what we need to do defensively. So, Taylor, what do you feel about that?
I agree with Kenesha, what she said.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Kenesha, Taylor, we will dismiss you, and thank you for your time. We will continue with questions for Coach Foley.
Hey, take the trophy.
Coach, for a team that's prided itself on its defense all year, really struggled to stop them all game. You touched on it a little bit. Did it seem fitting that it was the last 3 minutes, all the steals, all the defense was what actually got you through to the win?
Exactly. I think that's, if we couldn't play defense like we did and count on it, we wouldn't have won that ball game. I think our kids always knew in the back of their mind that they could get some stops towards the end of the game if we kept it close. And like I say, it's hard to go over all that stuff in 2 or 3 hours, film hour, on the floor hour, and try to figure out, as good a team as they are, how you're going to get stops. That takes 2 or 3 days to be able to stop a team like that. So to be able to stay in the game, make them work, and then take over the game the last 4 minutes, that's all you could ask from a championship team.
Joe, we kind of touched on it yesterday, but just kind of reflect on just kind of what this team has evolved into offensively, you know, especially after what you've done this week. I mean, did you think that at some point it would kind of get to this where you can put 3 games together like this, where you're, you know, the numbers that you're putting up and everything?
Well, you know, post play still is a concern, no doubt, scoring inside. So I'm always one of those coaches that if you can't score inside, you're not ever going to be real consistent. But this team's kind of the abnormal to the rule. Those 3 guards, you know, with Niche coming on like she did this week, you know, we hadn't seen Niche play like that in a while offensively. So with her being aggressive, taking it to the hole, that took some pressure off Galt and AD, and those 2 been carrying us out. But when you add Niche in there, and then I thought Kiara Clark come off the bench and made some big baskets right there towards the end of the game. So again, you got to take your hats off to them. They're you know, you got to score in the paint, and the way we score in the paint's with driving. We don't do it with post players, but we do it with the guards driving, so that makes up for it. So you got to give these guards credit. They're doing a heck of a job.
And was that necessary after, you know, Alexis made those 3s early, but, you know, she didn't make any in the second half? Did you need even more so just because you weren't getting those from her, I guess?
Exactly. She's tired. I mean, you know, 2 games like that in 2 days, you know, you could tell her shot was a little off. I took her out, tried to give her a breather, and, you know, that's when we put Kiara, and Kiara seemed to be getting more confidence as the game went along. So that allowed us to keep her on the floor, didn't have to play Shan for the defensive stops. So we got a little bit better offensively with Kiara in there, and we kept driving the ball, and then we started getting the steals and getting the layups off our steals. So it, you know, it played out really well.
Do you feel like this should be a 2-bid league with the game you guys put on?
Well, I think we showed tonight both of us deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. I don't think there's any doubt. And, you know, it's going to be up. You don't ever know about the committee. And, you know, I hate to say, but, you know, if we'd lost, I think with the wins we had over LSU and Oklahoma would catch their eye. Brian's got a win over Chattanooga, I think, and y'all have to help me out. But not even looking at the wins, but you know the committee's going to look at every little thing. But if they get to watch any of this game tonight, they're going to see that both of us deserve to be NCAA tournament teams.
Could you just kind of reflect on the 3 games you've played with them, and just considering what happened the first, did you expect every bit of kind of what happened tonight to kind of unfold, just the way it went and everything?
That's, you know, I told you know, a couple of people that, you know, that 3rd game you don't ever know. 2 great games like that, sometimes, you know, it's hard to have 3 great games in a row. Sometimes, you know, somebody gets the upper hand, you're not shooting the ball. Both teams probably a little fatigued, so somebody could have got hot and the other team stayed cold. So, you know, it could have, you know, even in the NBA, 7-game series, you'll see some team get beat by 25 one night and come back and win by 2. So, you know, I had my doubts it would be, you know, I thought it would be a good game, but I didn't know if somebody might pull away or not. To have 3 great games like that just shows you what kind of teams they are.
And just thoughts on kind of getting back to the tournament after 3 years with a group that kind of, you know, we're along for the ride 3 years ago, and you know, kind of are leading you there now.
Well, you know, that's what I told the seniors before we started the season. I said, you know, you guys have meant so much to our program. I'd hate for you to go out and not have a chance to be in the NCAA tournament again as the leaders. Y'all, you know, Galt played a significant role in that first year as a freshman, scoring-wise, hit the bucket, you know, and all that. But, you know, you have to earn that, you know, and they worked their tail off. And unfortunately, you know, we had the injuries. We didn't have Cobbins last year, and we had the injury to Phoney. So I thought we had a great team opportunity last year before the season started. Really, I thought we'd be better last year before the season. And then when we lost those 2 right off the bat, then that made it hard for everybody. And that's a tough year. And now to come back and get rewarded like they did this year, that makes it even more special.
Do you feel you have a real shot in the NCAA tournament?
The draw means a lot. You don't ever know who you're going to draw. So, you know, I think we're as good as a lot of those teams, there's no doubt, but it depends on who you draw. And size always, you know, is a tough situation when we get against the big conference teams. Is if you draw one of those 6'4" or 5 kids, it's hard for us to guard that. So if we stay away from that, then usually we have a pretty good shot. We can usually play with anybody. So we'll see what happens.
Day off or so, or?
No, let's go watch film. I'd rather watch. Nah, I'm going. I just told them. I said, "Good, no film tonight. I'm tired of watching film right now, and that's hard for me to do. But I ain't watching film till next Tuesday."
Anything else for Coach Foley? Thank you, Coach. Thanks for your time, and best wishes to you.
Thank you, guys.
Well, obviously, you know, anytime you care and you compete, and you know, you don't ever want it to end, and but proud of this group for not only certainly the season they had, but this tournament, played really well. 3 nights ago, competed really well last night, and again tonight we competed with our best. We just fell a little bit short. Little Rock is obviously a credit to them. They had an amazing year running through this league, about as well as any team ever has, and I'm proud of my team because as I think we've seen in 3 games with them, there's not a ton of separation there. Able to get a close win, and now 2 very tough but close losses. Can't say enough about Gamble sitting here next to me. Just competed again, 40 minutes, 27 points, 7 rebounds. Did everything she could defensively. Just an amazing effort on her part. And then next to her, Khadijah too. The strides she's made this year, and to have a performance of 10 points, 8 rebounds, really battled on the boards, and played 39 almost an entire game herself. So proud of these 2 sitting up here with me, along with the entire team. Proud of the effort today. We just come up a little bit short.
If you have questions for the student athletes, please hold up your hand and we'll get a microphone to you, please. Thank you.
Andrea, it looked like one of those possessions down the stretch, it looked like you slipped. I mean, is that what happened? Just kind of run me through there. And I mean, did you think you were bumped, or did you slip on the floor, or what do you think happened?
What possession?
It was one of the ones in the last 2 minutes there. It was a turnover where they got the kind of run-out layup. Do you remember it offhand?
Yeah, I mean, she reached in there. It was pretty much a foul, but, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
Could either one of you just kind of speak about how, just kind of in all 3 of your games with them have been like that this year, just kind of both teams are playing so well on offense. Do you feel the kind of pressure to kind of keep up? And does that get hard at times, just kind of always feeling like you have to get a score just to keep up with the other one,
I mean, sometimes it kind of feels that way, but it all comes down to it. You have to play defense for the whole 30 seconds. It doesn't matter. But, yeah, sometimes it does feel that way, that you have to make a basket to keep up.
Khadijah, it seemed like you guys did pretty well defensively, starting both halves, and then kind of midway through they kind of got going. I mean, did you notice anything different from them? Start going to a different player, or what do you think happened there during those stretches?
I didn't think they start going to a different player at all. They kind of stuck with the main players, going to Gold and trying to get number 10 her 3. But it was mainly just, it's a team defense. You can't just put all the pressure on one person to just really sit down and guard. You got to kind of be in help side and just rely on your teammates to be there to help you out.
Is that maybe the toughest thing about defending a team like that, just with, kind of the way they've been playing this week, with kind of different pieces you got to defend and everything?
Yeah, kind of with their main offense, just how you got to handle ball screens, you got to help off ball screens, and then once the ball gets to a side, you got to immediately try to get to help side. So you just got to kind of be aware where the ball is.
Any other questions for the student athletes?
Girls, what do you think now? Obviously you'll be watching on Monday night pretty intently. I mean, kind of what's your plan for the next couple days? And do you think you'll get in, or do you spend a lot of time kind of worrying about that, I guess?
Yeah, and we haven't talked about a plan just yet, so just in their defense there, we haven't talked about what we'll do until later. We will.
Do you think you girls, I mean, will get a chance at the NCAA tournament? Do you think you deserve it, or just kind of how do you guys feel about those chances and whatnot?
I think we definitely deserve it, but it's not in our hands. It's in somebody else's.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Andrea and Khadijah, we will dismiss you at this time. Thank you for your time. We will continue with more questions for head coach Brian Boyer.
Brian, can you just kind of speak onto how just kind of difficult they are to defend anymore? They've evolved so much offensively this year. I mean, just kind of at times do you feel like you guys have to score just as much to kind of, that's the best defense almost?
Yeah, there's no question. I've said that since clear back before we played them the first time, that they're equally as good as they've been in the past defensively, but they have a different level offense of what his teams have been in the past, and where in past years they were 1 or 2 dimensional. They really can make you pay from a lot of different ways. They can make you pay in transition, which I thought we did a decent job of taking away today, but. So much attention goes to Dawn and Galt, and then you look up and Cobbins and Clark and Pratt, they know their roles, and they find ways to make you pay.
Could you just speak on how you guys started the second half? I mean, just kind of what was the plan coming out of half, and just kind of being able to kind of erase that deficit really quickly that had to help mentally, I guess?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, there was nothing, magical, nothing specific, anything like that, other than, we got a team of competitors, that they fought all year. That's why we've been able to win 23 games, and, it was just a matter of touching on the things we already knew that, we weren't doing very well first half, and, loved the energy that we came out with, and, gave ourselves a lead, gave ourselves a chance.
The turnovers down the stretch in the last 3 minutes, I mean, is that them defensively? They know how to defend. They maybe don't do it all the time against you guys, but or do you think it was some other things, I guess?
Well, I think it's a combination, and I think, again, as with their place, if you want to point to any key stat of the game, it's certainly the 17 turnovers on our part. You can't give them that many opportunities, and especially in a game where we're shooting 50% from the field. We're getting the shots. You can't do that. And I the credit goes to them. Again, they're very quick. Across the board, they're very strong, very quick. They're tough to get penetration on. They handle screens well. And sometimes what happens, when I think what happened was some of those stretches there, we got a little over anxious and maybe tried to force some things that weren't quite there. And as a result, they turn into some turnovers and points.
And what about for you? Obviously, that the decision for the tournament comes from somebody else. I mean, but do you think you guys have made a case? I mean, do you think you deserve it? And we'll get in. I guess those are two different questions. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question. Again, I think where our RPI was this morning at a 45, and we've got two top 50 wins, two top 35 wins, if you want to say, and we've. One of the things that, if you want to look at, however you want to call it, mid-majors or things like that, they always, they want to hold over their head is what did you try to do for your team? Did you compete? How did you schedule? Well, our non-conference schedule was as hard as anybody, out there, and we played the SEC, we played the Big Ten, we played the Big 12, we played the Pac-12, we played a top 25 Chattanooga, we played a top 25 Gulf Coast. I mean. I know the answer. What more do you want us to do? We needed to win a couple more of those. We needed to eliminate a couple losses in conference. But, I sit there and look at the teams in the same range with us RPI-wise, and there's even one team specifically that you can look at head-to-head games with us, and it's no comparison that we're ahead of them. We should be ahead of them. So hopefully they'll take that into consideration.
And just your thoughts on Andrea, she didn't have the best game yesterday, but just considering what you've known from her the last 2 years, I bet you weren't too worried about her coming into today.
Well, yeah, and again, I know people say that often about her not having her best game. I think when we say that, we're talking specifics and scoring. She still had her hand in everything we did yesterday, and that's what you love about Gamble is, she doesn't always have to score, but she can get other people involved, the assists, defend, all the things. She scored a lot more today, but I thought her game yesterday was pretty darn good too. Helped us to a win, and again, she was great today. I thought she was really aggressive trying to score. She again rebounded it really well. She did everything she could defensively. I thought today was a great performance by her.
Any other questions for Coach Boyer?
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.